How's it going, everyone? In this video, I want to talk a lot about the Xbox first-party situation and games from Xbox coming to PlayStation 5. Certainly a topic that has been in the discussion table all year long, and there's a lot of different ways to assess something like this because there's so much depth to this conversation and just this idea, and a lot of people are viewing at it from a wide variety of different angles, and I think all of it, or at least the majority of it, is very valid. I think people bring up a lot of good points, but I think it's important to understand that something like this does have a lot of layers to it, and if you assess it from just one angle, and you're assessing it in a vacuum, I don't think that's a good idea, so I'll try to cover some of the key points. This was coming from Jez Horton about a week ago. Xbox won't have exclusives going forward. Everything is timed exclusive at most. Now, we already saw this coming to fruition, as we know that Indiana Jones is a timed exclusive already. It'll be out on PlayStation 5 by mid-2025 at the latest. And then you have games like Outer Worlds 2 that just got its gameplay revealed and also announced that it will be coming to PlayStation 5 day one. That is an Obsidian title. Obsidian also working on Avowed. Now, Avowed has been in development going back to 2020 and was one of the early game reveals, and that game is right now scheduled for just Xbox and PC. I would imagine a PlayStation release would happen sometime down the line, but that has not been confirmed. And then we'd also know Doom: The Dark Ages is going to be a day one PlayStation 5 title, so it's very interesting that these titles are coming to PlayStation 5. Now, as far as the marquee pillar Xbox franchise, we haven't seen any of those come to PlayStation yet, unless you want to look at Sea of Thieves as a marquee Xbox franchise. I really don't consider it. When I think marquee Xbox franchise, it's something synonymous with Xbox, something like a Halo, a Gears of War, a Fable, a Forza. Those are probably the four games that I consider the four pillars of the Xbox ecosystem, so to speak, even though, you know, Fable hasn't had an entry in a long time. Gears has been kind of rocky over the last few years. Forza Motorsport wasn't great, but you get the idea. In terms of the franchises that are established within the ecosystem of Xbox, I would consider it to be those four franchises. Could you throw in a franchise or two here and there? Sure. But those are the four I would consider. When you talk about something like Doom, okay, you acquired Bethesda, like Doom's been out on PlayStation before. Indiana Jones, it's not like Indiana Jones is an IP, you know, Xbox established. And that's a Machine Games title. Machine Games did Wolfenstein, which was available on PlayStation pre-Bethesda acquisition, and so on and so forth. But it does feel like Xbox is inching closer and closer to this reality where they're going to bring that wall down even more in terms of bringing their games on over to PlayStation 5. Now, the inverse is very much not true. It is not going to be any kind of situation that I can foresee that PlayStation is going to be bringing their games on over to Xbox. Think about this, they're bringing over some of their most marquee titles, Indiana Jones, Doom, Outer Worlds 2, they don't have to bring that out on PlayStation 5, but they are. And PlayStation won't throw Xbox a bone with LEGO Horizon? Like, LEGO Horizon was released on the Nintendo Switch, and they're not releasing that on Xbox. Now, I had heard something that they might do a delayed release of LEGO Horizon on Xbox, but even if that's the case, I just don't see a reality where PlayStation is releasing their games ever on Xbox, because ultimately there isn't going to be that big of a reward for them because the Xbox marketplace is so small. PlayStation 5 is outselling Xbox Series by orders of magnitude. Xbox and Microsoft, I'm sure in an ideal world, they don't want to release their games on PlayStation 5. They would rather use their games as a drawing card into their ecosystem. However, there's only so much you can do. Might as well release a Doom, might as well release an Indiana Jones, might as well release some of these games on PlayStation, get some revenue from that console base that has so many more users than us, and I do think that makes a lot of sense in that angle. From that angle, it makes sense of just looking at the smaller picture and how you can generate a lot of revenue. And if Xbox is ultimately gonna step away from the console ecosystem, and Game Pass is their move, and consoles aren't gonna be as big of a part. I don't think they're gonna remove themselves from the console landscape, but it's not gonna be as big of a part of their business. Okay, I can understand that. However, that is absolutely going to lessen the desire of people wanting to buy an Xbox, because if I'm going into the next generation, PlayStation 6 and Xbox, whatever, the next Xbox, and I look at it, well, PlayStation is getting all these games anyway, especially if we get to a point like Gears is released on PlayStation, Halo is released on PlayStation. People are just gonna look at that and be like, obviously I'm gonna get a PlayStation. So for that little audience that you already have on Xbox, you're gonna dwindle that even further. Really, who is the consumer that an Xbox console is targeted towards? Well, I would say it's for that consumer that wants to play a lot of games, which I don't think is this vast, overwhelming majority of the console marketplace. I think a lot of people want to play games. I don't think they want to play every single game or a lot of games through Game Pass every month. But Game Pass is an incredible value, and if you fit into that category where you're going to be playing all of these games through Game Pass, and I think a lot of our audience, you know, they do want to play a lot of games through Game Pass, they might be like, okay, Game Pass is such a great value, and it would have to be people that, for them, Game Pass is a big enough value where they're gonna play a lot of these games, otherwise they don't have the means or the desire to buy these games outright for $70 or wait for them to go on sale, and that market, I think, is very small. That potential consumer that you now have, or that potential consumer base, you're shrinking that even more. It has to be people that fit into the specific criteria that Xbox really is strong at, and that's if you value Game Pass a lot and you're gonna play a lot of games, which again, you're then eliminating the people that have their 4 to 6 games a year that they play, because I think a PlayStation would rather fit those people's needs rather than an Xbox where Game Pass is the big drawing card. And you're almost throwing in the towel, because if I'm just a random person, maybe I got my life in order and I can afford to buy 4 to 6 games a year. I'm a big Marvel guy as well. I see that Marvel Blade is gonna be out on PlayStation 5, and PlayStation 5 is gonna get Marvel's Wolverine or whatever. What console am I gonna pick? It's obvious. Even though Xbox is gonna get Marvel Blade, it's not gonna get Wolverine, so I'm just like, obviously I'm gonna get a PlayStation 5 at that point. And from the lens of the current PlayStation consumer, this is a great thing. You're getting more games at your library. You don't have to buy another console. Yeah, you're not gonna get Game Pass migrated over. I don't think that's ever gonna happen, and I don't think Sony, in their best interest, they don't want that to happen. They absolutely want to establish that video games are a premium $70, and I think that's great for the PlayStation 5 audience. Here's the idea that a lot of people don't bring up, and why I am a little bit terrified of this. It feels like Microsoft is moving away from Xbox as this competitor to Sony, and having a sizable portion of the console marketplace, and that is worrying to me, because Sony, in a world where they literally have no competition, that's what I am worried about. Giving Sony free reign to do whatever they want and not being checked, that's what I am worried about. I don't care if it's Microsoft, I don't care if it's Valve, I don't care if it's Nintendo becoming more of a direct competitor. I think for the best interest of the PlayStation consumer, and this is, you guys, a consumer of any medium, any entertainment, anything in this world that you are a fan of, for that thing to be pressured to move forward, you need direct competition. That's how you're gonna get to the healthiest place as a consumer and for the consumer. You shouldn't want Xbox to go. Yes, having these Xbox games on PlayStation, great thing. I think everybody can agree with that for our selfish desires of wanting the best games. But long term, also for our selfish desires, you want PlayStation to be competing for your dollar, because that is how you're gonna get the most value. That is how you're gonna get PlayStation, if they do mess up, to get completely checked and then course correct. That is what pushes the industry forward. If PlayStation has no competition, that is unfortunately a dangerous place to be in terms of the PlayStation market, where they have free reign to do whatever they want. That's where I don't want to be. I don't care if it's Microsoft, if it's Apple, if it's Amazon, if it's whoever, if it's Netflix, I don't know. I just want somebody to be there that's a direct competitor to PlayStation. And this is, yes, 5 years down the line, 7 years down the line, but I'm sure a lot of you guys are already seeing the analysts talk about how they think Nintendo's gonna sell a lot of consoles next generation, and then there's gonna be one viable other console from Xbox and PlayStation, and the other one is going to fall behind. I think everybody looks at PlayStation's gonna be okay as far as that console that is gonna do well. Xbox is gonna fall behind, and I would argue I could see PC gaming continue to grow. Now, PC gaming always is gonna have this barrier that consoles aren't gonna have. Nobody's gonna pick up a gaming PC for NBA 2K. It's just not gonna happen, you guys, and that's a significant amount of people that just want a console that they want to play NBA 2K, COD, FIFA, and a lot of those games. That's not the audience that I'm speaking to. Usually, the NBA 2K guys, they're on NBA 2K, they're not watching Game Cross videos. Like, that's just the reality of the situation, but that audience is large, and it absolutely does exist. But as far as playing a lot of games and whatnot, and playing your core game releases, I see a lot of people moving to PC. However, again, the other barrier is obviously the price point. When you're talking about a console, a $500 option, even a $600 option, you're going to be hard-pressed to get that value from a PC off the rip. PC has a lot of other benefits. You don't got to pay to play online. You'll get games cheaper, so on and so forth. But in the console market, Sony ultimately 5-7 years down the line not having a competitor, or not having a competitor that poses them any kind of a threat, that is something that worries me greatly in terms of Sony having free reign to do whatever they want. And let me reiterate, again, having Halo, having Gears, having Fable available to more players if these games ultimately do come to PlayStation, obviously that's a great thing. Like, that's an awesome thing that people are going to be able to play these great titles on their console of choice. But long term, in terms of having direct competition for PlayStation where they're not taking advantage of the consumer, which I would argue the signs of them doing that are there right now. They absolutely are there right now. And why are they there? That's because right now you could argue they don't have a lot of competition as it is, and when you dwindle that down even further, that's when I am a little bit petrified as far as what that could mean for PlayStation. But ultimately, we'll see how all of that shakes out. I think there's a lot of layers to this. I think there's a lot of angles you can view this at. I just want there to be a compelling direct competitor for PlayStation more than anything. I don't care who that is. It's just we need competition in the marketplace, and it's not a great thing when Sony's just there having free reign, because I don't consider at this point Nintendo a direct competitor, and I don't think PC gaming is a direct competitor either. That's why Sony's bringing their games out on PC. They're not bringing their games out on Xbox. They certainly aren't, and I guarantee you if there is a direct competitor that does emerge in the console space, they wouldn't be bringing their games out on that platform either. Now, Nintendo, again, being this indirect competitor, and whether or not they're competition, that is really debatable. They put LEGO Horizons on the Nintendo Switch, and with the Switch 2, why not throw them a bone and give them, I don't know, Infamous Second Son, or give them Spider-Man 2018? Is it that big of a deal? If they get a game 5 to 8 years, that's 5 to 8 years old, not that big of a deal. I don't think they'll ever do that for Xbox or any other potential competitor. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments section down below. As always, thank you for watching, and hopefully I was able to articulate my points, you know, in a way that you guys can at least find it understandable. I'm not saying everybody has to agree. It's just, I think for the industry's health, it's best if Sony has a direct competitor, and I don't care who it is. They just need a direct competitor. That'll do it for me. Your thoughts down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.